Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Macbeth Explained. Annotate with me. In this video, we are going to be looking at Act 1, Scene 6. It's a very short scene, and it's not likely to be the type of scene that's going to pop up in the exam, just because it's a scene that's more designed to build tension than anything else. The plot doesn't really move forward all that much in this scene. The scene is just Duncan's arrival, and this scene builds tension because at this point the audience, of course, knows what Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are planning, and so every scene with Duncan is sort of heightened because we know a lot that he doesn't know, and we're sort of waiting to see what's going to happen to him while he's at Inverness. So we're not going to make a whole lot of annotations today. I will mostly be reading and explaining and just picking out a few key quotes that we could use for other things. So usually the key quotes that I pick out are quotes that you could use to answer a question, and usually questions are going to be about Macbeth or Lady Macbeth or some key themes of the text. So that's the kind of quotes we'll be picking out today. So same as usual, if you'd like to go grab your copy of Macbeth, either physical or digital, pens, highlighters, anything that you need, and watch on when you're ready. Scene 6, before Macbeth's Castle. So we're approaching Macbeth's Castle. Oh boys and torches. So again, remember the music that plays to announce the king and torches. Enter Duncan, Malcolm, Donalbain, so Duncan and his sons, then the lords. Banquo, Lennox, Macduff, Ross, Angus, and attendants and the servants. Duncan says, "This castle hath a pleasant seat." So this castle has a pleasant seat. The air nimbly and sweetly recommends itself unto our gentle senses. When he says the castle has a pleasant seat, he means the castle has a pleasant setting. Like the seat of a castle is where the castle is basically has been built. So he's saying this castle has is built in a beautiful place. And the air is sort of sweet. He's basically praising Macbeth through Macbeth's castle. Banquo says, "This guest of summer, the temple-haunting martlet, does approve." So the temple-haunting martlet is basically a bird, a type of bird that tends to live in churches. So he's talking about the bird. We're not going to analyze this overly heavily. I'll just explain what he's talking about here. So a type of bird that nests in churches. Yeah, temple haunting, that nests in churches. So this guest of summer, the temple-haunting martlet, does approve by his loved mansionry that the heaven's breath smells wooingly here. So because this type of bird that tends to live in churches comes here, and there's a lot of these birds around Macbeth's castle, he's saying it's almost like a good sign that this is a good place because this bird comes here. "No jutty, frieze, buttress, nor coign of vantage, but this bird hath made his pendant bed and procreant cradle." Procreant cradle is talking about nest. And what he's saying is that there's no jutty, frieze, buttress, nor coign of vantage. All of these are different parts of the building. So like the walls, the towers, coign of vantage would be like a corner of vantage, maybe like a tower where people like guards would keep watch outside the castle. So he's saying there's basically no corner or part of this castle that this bird, the martlet, hasn't made his home in and hasn't left his nest in. So there's a lot of these birds around, and they've made their home around Macbeth's castle. Where they most breed and haunt, I have observed, the air is delicate. And he's saying these birds seem to favour like nice, delicate, fresh air. So basically, he's just talking about this bird living around Macbeth's castle and using it as a way to say that it's a beautiful place with, I suppose, good air, fresh air, delicate air. None of this is really too important. It just shows, it's just another way that Shakespeare shows us the sort of love and admiration and respect Duncan and Banquo have for Macbeth at this point in the story. And to Lady Macbeth. Duncan greets her. "See, our honoured hostess, the love that follows us sometime is our trouble, which still we thank as love." He's saying sometimes, like as a king, being loved all the time is a bit troubling. It's almost like a bit of a nuisance to always be followed by love and adoration, even though he is still grateful for it. Herein I teach you how you shall bid God ild us for your pains and thank us for your trouble. And he's saying, but I still, like, in spite of the fact that it can be a bit of a pain to always be, you know, showered with love and adoration, I still thank you, and I still pray God in thanks for the honor that you're showing us, the love that you're showing us. So he's basically saying, like, can be a bit of a pain sometimes to be loved, but I still appreciate what you're doing. Lady Macbeth says, all our service in every point twice done and then done double, where poor and single business to contend against those honours deep and broad wherewith your majesty loads our house. She's saying everything that we did, all our service, everything that we could do for you, for King Duncan, while he's staying at the castle, if it was done twice and then done double, so if they did it even better over and over again, like twice as better and then twice more than that, would still be poor, would still be nothing compared to the honor with which the honor that he's bestowed on her and Macbeth and their castle. So she's basically saying there's nothing we could do, there's no way we could serve you that could make up for the how you've honored us. So this is, of course, showing us how skillful Lady Macbeth is at hiding her true intentions. Okay, she's using the sort of this role of the generous, kind woman to hide her true nature, and we already know her true nature because we saw it last scene. But here we're kind of seeing, you know, when she advised Macbeth, like, look like the innocent flower. She's very good at playing the innocent flower. For those of old and the late dignities heaped up to them, we rest your hermits. She's saying we pray for you so much that anyone who's praying for you wouldn't need to pray for you anymore. So a couple of references here to God and praying, and you could link this quite well to the scene later on when Macbeth will go on to kill Duncan, straight after he talks about being unable to say amen, being unable to pray. So there is this recurring theme of God and praying, and the relationship between, you know, especially Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and God and hell and all of these things. And this links quite well to the contextual idea, so AO3, the contextual idea of the divine right of kings, the link between Duncan, the king of a country, and God, because in those times, of course, they believed that God would pick the king of a country or the queen of a country. And all this talk, by killing Duncan, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth haven't just committed a crime against their country and treason, they've also committed a crime against God. And so this talk of praying, it reminds us of the importance of religion in this culture at the time as well. Duncan says, where's the Thane of Cawdor? He's asking about, of course, Macbeth. Where's Macbeth? We coursed him at the heels and had a purpose to be his purveyor. So we rode after him. So they're all riding horses. Macbeth rode ahead, and he's saying they tried to keep up with him because they tried to sort of follow him closely. But he rides well, and his great love, sharp as his spur, hath holp him to his home before us. Holp is an archaic version of help. So hath holp him, has helped him to his home before us. He's saying maybe he rode so fast because of his great love. He's basically almost like flattering Lady Macbeth as well a little bit. He's telling her maybe Macbeth is sort of motivated by his love for you, and that's why he rode so fast to get home to you. Fair and noble hostess, we are your guests tonight. And he's reminding her, he's complimenting her, but he's reminding her, you know, I'm in your hands tonight, I'm your guest. And as the guest of Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, there's a responsibility that falls on Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, especially in those medieval times, you know, with war and violence being so common. If you especially if the king was staying at your castle, you kind of had this responsibility to look after them and ensure their safety. Of course, we know that the exact opposite is happening. So fair and noble are some really interesting adjectives. show the love and respect Duncan has for Lady Macbeth. Of course, this is dramatic irony. And this feels quite poignant, quite, impactful on the audience when he's showering her with praise and compliment, and we know that she's literally planning to kill him. Your servants ever have themselves and what is theirs in comp to make their audit at your highness's pleasure, still to return your work. Again, a lot of sort of business talk here from Macbeth about the count, the audit. All she's saying is that basically anyone would work really hard and account for the servants in the castle that are basically going to look after Duncan could be a sort of anyone could report on how hard they're going to work. It's basically what she's saying here. Duncan says, "Give me your hand, conduct me to my host. We love him highly, and shall continue our graces towards him. By your leave, hostess." He says, "Give me your hand. Like, let's go into the castle. I want to see Macbeth. We love him highly." So this is the royal we. He's talking about himself, of course. "I love him highly and shall continue my graces towards him." He's saying, I love Macbeth and I'm going to keep honouring him and showering him with praise and rewards. So again, this is dramatic irony. So it's more shocking to the audience when Macbeth betrays eventually Duncan, because we see that for Duncan, it's not just a matter of just, praising and rewarding a lord that's worked really hard for him. There is genuine love there and genuine affection there. And let's not forget, they are also related as well. And Duncan doesn't withhold his love and affection for Macbeth. He openly expresses it. So that's it. Exeunt, they all leave. They go presumably into the castle. And the next scene we return to Macbeth. So this is just scene 6. It's very, very short. Like I said before, it's unlikely to come up in an exam, but if it does, you can see that it's actually pretty straightforward. The language isn't too complex, and a lot of the time the characters are sort of talking about kind of details that aren't really necessarily relevant, like the complimenting the castle, talking about the servants and things like that. This is really just a scene to sort of build tension and establish the love and trust that Duncan has for Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, so that it has a bigger impact on us when they eventually betray him. I hope this was helpful as usual. If you have any questions, be it about the plot, the scene, characters, themes, how to answer exam questions, how to get a specific grade, how to structure a response or analysis, any of the assessment objectives, feel free to post any questions you have in the comments. And in the next video, we will be looking at a very key scene, the final scene of Act 1. So I hope you join us for this. And we will see you then.